The sun rises over Zuena, painting the savannah in hues of gold and amber, where acacia trees sway like dancers and the air hums with the chatter of weaver birds. In the heart of this kingdom, the great city of Ibadan gleams, its mud-brick palaces adorned with cowrie shells that shimmer like stars. Laughter spills from markets, where traders barter kola nuts and indigo cloth, and children chase goats through dusty streets. But beneath this vibrant pulse, a shadow lingers, a whisper of folly that trails three young princes. If you think you can unravel their tale without a chuckle or a gasp, you probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'd love to know where you're listening as we dive into this wild African folktale. Zuena is a land of plenty, its rivers teeming with fish, its fields bursting with millet and yams. King Mansa, a broad-shouldered ruler with a beard like woven silver, has reigned for 30 years, his wisdom as renowned as the baobab trees that guard the city's gates. His queen, Nia, is the kingdom's heart, her songs calming even the fiercest storms. Together, they've built a realm where griots sing of heroes, and artisans craft masks that dance with ancestral spirits. Yet the court buzzes with unease, for Mansa's three sons, Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu, are not the heirs anyone expected. At 20, 18, and 16, the princes are strong, handsome, and quick-witted, but their antics have earned them a name, the Foolish Three. Kofi, the eldest, is a firebrand, his laughter loud as a hyena's, his dares bolder than a lion's roar. Last month, he wagered he could ride a warthog through Ibadan's market, scattering stalls and leaving traders cursing. Tunde, the middle son, is sly, his eyes gleaming with schemes to outdo his brothers. He once convinced a blacksmith to forge him a golden spear useless for hunting but perfect for flaunting. Seifu, the youngest, is a charmer. His tongue is smooth as the Niger River, but his boasts often outstrip his deeds. He swore he could charm a crocodile to dance, only to flee when the beast snapped at his heels. The court laughs, but the griot's songs grow sharp, warning of princes who play while Zuena's future hangs in balance. In Ibadan's palace, a sprawling maze of courtyards and domed roofs, the prince's folly is a daily spectacle. This morning, as Mansa holds court beneath a canopy of kente cloth, Kofi interrupts a trade envoy's speech with a challenge to wrestle a guard. The envoy, a stern woman from a northern tribe, frowns, her beads clinking as she mutters about disrespect. Tunde, lounging on a carved stool, bets a sack of cowries that Kofi will lose, sparking laughter among the nobles. Seifu, strumming a kora, sings an impromptu verse mocking the guard's bulk, earning grins but also Mansa's scowl. The king's patience, once as vast as the savannah, is thinning, his fingers drumming on his throne. Queen Nia, seated beside Mansa, watches her sons with a mix of love and worry. She remembers their childhood, Kofi climbing baobabs, Tunde trading marbles for secrets, Seifu reciting tales before he could read. They're not cruel, she knows, only reckless, their spirits too big for their roles. But Zuena needs heirs who can rule, not jesters who chase thrills. The court's whispers grow bolder. Will the Foolish Three lead us to ruin elders, their robes heavy with embroidery? Urge Mansa to act. Send them to the griots, one suggests, or to the oracle. Another, stroking his beard, proposes a harsher path. Let them face the wilds, as our ancestors did. Beyond the palace, Ibadan hums with life. In the market, women weave baskets, their fingers swift as sparrows, while men roast groundnuts over open fires. Griots, their voices rich as honey, sing of Zuena's past of queens who tamed leopards, kings who outwitted spirits. But the tales now carry a new thread: the prince's antics, a warning wrapped in humor. A trader, her stall piled with shea butter, tells of Tund's golden spear, sold for a pittance when it bent. A fisherman laughs about Seifu's crocodile boast, now a children's rhyme. Kofi's warthog ride, though, draws grimaces. Merchants still mourn their broken wares. As noon blazes, Mansa retreats to his private garden, where date palms shade a bubbling fountain. Nia joins him, her bangles chiming. "They're young," she says, touching his arm. "They'll grow." Mansa sighs, his eyes on the horizon, where the forest meets the savannah. "Youth is no excuse," he says. Zuena deserves better than folly. He speaks of his father, who united tribes with cunning, and his grandfather, Nain, who faced a drought with sacrifice. The princes, he fears, lack such mettle. Nia nods, but her heart clings to hope her sons are flawed, but not lost. By evening, as drums call the city to a feast, the princes strut into the palace courtyard, their tunics bright with dye. Kofi juggles mangoes, Tunde winks at a noble's daughter, and Seifu spins a tale of a mythical beast he swears he'll hunt. The crowd laughs, but Mansa's gaze is stone. He stands, his voice cutting through the chatter. "Enough," he says, and the courtyard stills. The foolish three freeze, their grins fading. Something shifts in Zuena tonight, a tide turning under the king's command, and the princes, for all their bravado, are about to face a challenge that will test their hearts, their wits, and the kingdom's faith in them. The sun dips low over Zuena, casting long shadows across Ibadun's bustling courtyard, where the feast's aroma, roasted yams, spiced goat, and palm-weed white mingles with the thrum of Akora strings. Princes Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu, still stinging from King Mansa's sharp enough last night, strut among the revelers, their tunics vivid against the dusk. Kofi's broad shoulders draw eyes, Tunde's sly grin sparks giggles, and Seifu's quick banter keeps the crowd entertained. But the court's laughter, once indulgent, now carries an edge. The griot's songs laced with barbs about the foolish three. The princes, undeterred, turn their folly into a game, each vying to outshine the others in reckless dares that ripple through Zuena like a fever. Kofi, never one to shrink from a challenge, spots a towering palm at the courtyard's edge, its fronds swaying in the evening breeze. "I'll climb it faster than a leopard," he boasts, tossing a mango pit aside. The crowd murmurs, nobles betting cowries on his success or fall. Tunde, lounging against a carved pillar, scoffs, "You'll crash before you reach the top." His eyes gleam with a plan. He slips a handful of shea butter from a trader's bowl, smearing it on the palm's trunk when no one watches. Seifu, strumming his kora nearby, weaves a mocking verse. Kofi climbs, but down he'll slide, Zuena's pride in mud to hide. The crowd roars, and Kofi, grinning, begins his ascent, unaware of Tunde's trick. Halfway up, Kofi's hands slip, the butter betraying him. He tumbles, landing in a heap of dust and laughter, his pride bruised, but his laugh loudest. "Tunde, you snake," he calls, lunging playfully at his brother. The court claps, but Queen Nia, watching from a dais, hides a frown. She remembers Kofi's warthog ride through the market, remember that chaos, and sees the same recklessness now, unchecked. Tunde, dodging Kofi's mock blows, ups the ante. "If you're so bold," he says, "let's race across the palace rooftops." The crowd gasps those clay roofs, brittle under rain, are no playground. Seifu, not to be outdone, declares, "I'll race blindfolded, guided by my charm alone." The nobles' cheers drown out the elders' protests, and the prince's game spirals. The rooftop race begins under torchlight. The princes scrambling up a trellis to the palace's flat roofs. Kofi charges ahead, his steps heavy, cracking tiles. Tunde, lighter and cunning, weaves between chimneys, tossing pebbles to trip Kofi. Seifu, true to his word, ties a cloth over his eyes, stumbling but singing, his voice drawing laughter below. The court watches, some delighted, others grim elders whisper of broken roofs and broken futures. Nia grips Mansa's hand, her bangles silent. "They're testing fate," she murmurs. Mansa nods, his jaw tight. The griots, their fingers flying on balafons, weave the scene into a song, but its tone warns of folly's price. Mid-race, disaster strikes. Seifu, blindfolded, missteps near a roof's edge, his foot catching a loose tile. He teeters, arms flailing, and Kofi, closest, dives to grab him. The tile gives way, and both princes slide, crashing through a canopy onto a pile of millet sacks below. Tunde, ahead, hears the commotion and doubles back. His laughter fading when he sees Seifu clutching a sprained ankle. The crowd's cheers turn to gasps, and Mansa rises, his shadow long across the courtyard. "This ends now," he says, his voice a low thunder. The princes, dusty and chastened, stand before him, their bravado wilting under his gaze. Mansa calls them to the palace's inner chamber, a cool room lined with woven mats and ancestral masks. Nia follows, her eyes pleading for mercy. But Mansa's resolve is iron. "You are princes," he says, "yet you act as fools." Zuena laughs, but not with pride. Kofi shifts, his bravado dimmed. Tunde's sly smile vanishes. Seifu's charm falters. Mansa recounts their antics: the warthog, the golden spear, the crocodile boast. Now this rooftop fiasco. "Each stunt risks more than your dignity," he says. "You weaken the kingdom." The masks on the walls, carved with stern eyes, seem to nod, their shadows flickering in the lamplight. Nia speaks, her voice soft but firm. "You are our sons, but also Zuena's hope. Find your strength, not in dares, but in duty." The princes nod, but their eyes betray defiance: Kofi's spark, Tunde's cunning, Seifu's charm. Mansa sees it and makes a decision. "Tomorrow," he says, "I will set a task to prove your worth. Fail, and you forfeit your titles." The words hang, heavy as a storm cloud, and the princes exchange glances, their rivalry flaring even now. Who will outshine the others? Who will fall? As they leave, the courtyard empties, the feast's joy soured. Griots sing of the foolish three, their notes sharp with warning. In the market, traders whisper of the king's words, some betting on the prince's failure, others praying for their growth. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu retire to their chambers, each plotting to win Mansa's challenge, their folly aflame not yet quenched. Zuena sleeps, but Ibadun's heart beats uneasy. For the prince's games have set a path that will test not just their courage, but the kingdom's faith in its future. The dawn breaks over Zuena, the sun gilding Ibadun's mud-brick palaces as drums summon the court to the palace courtyard, where King Mansa's throne gleams under a kente canopy. The air crackles with anticipation. The memory of the prince's rooftop fiasco, remember that crash through the canopy still fresh in the whispers of nobles and traders alike. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu stand before their father, their tunics crisp but their faces taut. The weight of Mansa's ultimatum pressing like a stone, prove their worth or lose their titles. Queen Nia, her bangles glinting, watches from the dais, her heart torn between hope and dread. The griots, their balafons silent, wait to weave this moment into Zuena's lore, while the crowd elders, artisans, children hums with bets on the foolish three's fate. Mansa rises, his presence commanding, his silver beard catching the light. "My sons," he begins, his voice carrying over the courtyard. "You've danced with folly too long. Zuena needs princes, not jesters." Kofi squares his shoulders. Tunde's eyes narrow, and Seifu forces a smile, but the court's gaze is unforgiving, their laughter replaced by scrutiny. Mansa gestures to a carved wooden chest, its surface etched with leopards and stars, brought forward by two guards. "Within lies your challenge," he says, opening it to reveal 3 obsidian amulets, each strung on a leather cord, their surfaces glinting with an eerie sheen. The crowd murmurs such stones, said to hold ancestral spirits, are rare, their power whispered in griots' tales. "Your task," Mansa continues, "is to seek the oracle of the 3 winds, deep in the wilds beyond Zuena's borders. She alone can awaken these amulets' power, proving your worth as heirs." The princes exchange glances, Kofi's grin bold, Tunde's calculating, Seifu's uneasy. The oracle, a figure of legend, dwells in a mountain realm where rivers boil and winds sing truce no man can bear. The journey through forests, savannas, and deserts is no jest, its dangers etched in songs of heroes lost. "You must go together," Mansa adds, "and return as one, or not at all." Nia's breath catches unity, not rivalry, is the true test, a lesson her sons have yet to learn. The court erupts in whispers. Elders nod, seeing wisdom in Mansa's choice. Traders bet cowries on the prince's failure, recalling Kofi's warthog ride and Seifu's crocodile boast. A griot, her voice low, begins a song of the oracle, her words painting a path of thorns and revelations. Kofi steps forward, taking an amulet, its weight heavy in his palm. "We'll return heroes," he declares, his voice loud but hollow. Tunde, next, slips his amulet on, his mind already scheming to outshine his brothers. Seifu, last, hesitates, the stone cold against his skin, his charm faltering under the task's gravity. The crowd cheers, but it's a brittle sound, tinged with doubt. Nia approaches, her eyes soft but fierce. "This is no game," she says, touching each son's shoulder. "The wilds will strip your folly bare. Trust each other." Kofi nods, his bravado unshaken. Tunde's smile hides his plans. Seifu murmurs agreement, but his fingers fidget with the amulet. Mansa raises a hand, silencing the court. "You leave at dawn," he says. "Prepare, and let Zuena see your true hearts." Gao. The princes bow, their rivalry simmering beneath the gesture, each imagining glory over the others. The court disperses, griots singing of the quest, their notes a mix of hope and warning. That night, Ibadan buzzes with preparations. In the palace stables, Kofi packs a horse with spears and waterskins, his laughter echoing as he boasts of slaying beasts. Tunde, in his chamber, studies a tattered map stolen from the griot's archives, plotting shortcuts to outpace his brothers. Seifu, in the garden, practices speeches to charm the oracle, his kora silent for once. The city feels their energy merchants sell charms for luck. Children mimic the prince's swagger, and elders pray at ancestral shrines, their beads clicking for the kingdom's future. Nia, alone in her chamber, kneels before a mask of her grandmother, a queen who faced the oracle. "Guide them," she whispers, her voice trembling. The princes meet at midnight, unable to sleep, in the palace's moonlit courtyard. Kofi challenges Tunde to a mock duel, their wooden staffs clacking, but the game feels forced. Mansa's words lingering. Tunde, dodging a blow, taunts, "I'll reach the oracle first." Kofi, "While you wrestle hyenas," Seifu, watching, tries to lighten the mood with a tale of a talking leopard, but his brothers ignore him, their rivalry a spark ready to ignite. "We're stronger together," Seifu says, echoing Nia, but Kofi laughs, and Tunde smirks. The amulets, hanging from their necks, seem to pulse, as if the ancestors watch, judging. As dawn nears, the princes gather at Ibadun's gates, their horses snorting, the obsidian amulets glinting. Mansa and Naya see them off, the king's face stern, the queen's eyes wet. The crowd chants their names, but the griot's song carries a warning: 3 go forth. But will 3 return? The princes ride out, Kofi leading, Tunde scanning the horizon, Seifu trailing, his kora strapped to his back. Zuvena's savannah stretches before them, its beauty hiding teeth rivers that drown, beasts that hunt, winds that whisper truth. The Foolish 3. Bound by blood, but divided by pride, embark on a quest that will either forge them into kings or break them under the weight of their own folly. The sun blazes over Zuvena's savannah, its golden expanse dotted with acacias and grazing antelope. As Kofi, Tundi, and Seifu ride from Ibadun's gates, their obsidian amulets remember those eerie stones from Mansa's chest glinting against their tunics. Dust swirls under their horses' hooves, the prince's laughter sharp with bravado. But the griot's warning song lingers in their ears. 3 go forth, but will 3 return? Kofi leads, his spear raised like a banner, eager to prove himself the boldest. Tunde, eyes scanning the horizon, clutches his stolen map, plotting to outsmart his brothers. Seifu, trailing, strums his kora softly, his charm masking unease. Their quest for the Oracle of the 3 Winds has begun, but their arrogance, as fiery as the midday heat, is about to ignite chaos in a village on their path. By noon, they reach Kweku, a small settlement of mud huts circled by millet fields, where women pound yams and children chase guinea fowl. The villagers, spotting the prince's fine horses and amulets, gather, their curiosity tinged with respect for Zuvena's royalty. Kofi, ever the showman, dismounts with a flourish, declaring, "We're on a quest to save the kingdom." His voice, loud as his warthog ride through Ibadun's market, draws cheers, but the village elder, a wiry woman named Adwoa, eyes him warily, her staff carved with ancestral faces. "Royalty brings trouble," she says, her voice low, but Kofi laughs, tossing her a cowrie shell as if it's a jest. Tundi, sensing a chance to shine, steps forward, his sly grin flashing. "We need supplies," he says, offering a silver bangle from his wrist. "Name your price." The villagers murmur, tempted, but Adwoa's gaze sharpens. She knows a schemer when she sees one, like Tunde with his golden spear. Seifu, hoping to charm, strums a lively tune, singing of Kweku's beauty, but his lyrics falter when a child points at his amulet, whispering, "Spirit stone." The mood shifts, the villagers' awe turning to suspicion. Adwoa raises her staff. "What quest brings such trinkets?" she asks, and Kofi, impatient, boasts, "To the oracle, to prove we're kings," his words meant to impress. Spark fear tales of the oracle's power are no light matter here. The princes, blind to the tension, press their demands. Kofi, spotting a pen of goats, declares he'll race one to prove his speed, a dare echoing his rooftop antics. Tunde, not to be outdone, bets he can barter for the best goat with only his wits, slipping a shiny pebble into a trader's hand as gold. Seifu, strumming faster, tries to soothe the crowd with a tale of a friendly oracle, but his blindfolded race bravado creeps in, and the villagers frown, sensing mockery. Adwoa's patience snaps. "You mock our home with games," she says, her voice cutting like a blade. "Leave or face our ancestors' wrath." Kofi laughs, thinking it a jest, but the villagers' eyes harden, their hands gripping hoes and staffs. The chaos erupts when Kofi, undeterred, grabs a goat from the pen, shouting, "Watch me ride like the wind." He leaps onto its back, spurring it through the village, scattering pots and trampling a yam patch. Tunde, laughing, tosses more pebbles, sparking a scuffle as traders realize the trick. Seifu's song falters as children pelt him with dirt, their fear of the amulets turning to anger. Adwoa raises her staff, and the villagers surge, chasing the princes with shouts. Kofi's goat bolts into a hut, collapsing its straw roof in a cloud of dust. Tunde trips over a basket, his map fluttering into a fire, its edges curling to ash. Seifu, dodging a thrown gourd, drops his kora, its strings snapping with a mournful twang. The princes scramble to their horses, Kofi dragging Seifu, Tunde clutching his singed map. They gallop from Kweku, the villagers' curses echoing. Adwoa's voice rising above, fools bring ruin. Dust chokes the air as they flee, the amulets bouncing against their chests, their laughter gone. They halt at a baobab grove, panting, their horses lathered. Kofi, bruised from his goat ride, glares at Tunde. "Your pebbles started this." Tunde snaps back. "Your goat wrecked their home." Seifu, cradling his broken kora, mutters, "We're cursed already." The amulets, warm now, seem to hum, as if the ancestors judge their reckless start. As dusk falls, the princes camp under the baobab, its gnarled branches like accusing fingers. Kofi sharpens his spear, vowing to lead better. Tunde sketches a new route on a scrap of cloth, his cunning undimmed. Seifu hums a tune, mourning his kora, his charm fraying. The savannah stretches before them, the forest looming where the oracle's path begins. Kweku's chaos, a mirror of their Ibadun antics, weighs on them, but their rivalry burns brighter than their shame. "We'll reach the oracle," Kofi says, "and I'll be first." Tunde smirks. "Not if I'm smarter." Seifu, quieter, whispers, "Together, maybe." The night deepens, Zuwena's stars watching, as the foolish three, chastened but unbroken, face a journey where their next misstep could cost more than a village's wrath. The forest beyond Kweku looms dense and ancient, its canopy a tapestry of emerald and shadow, where sunlight barely pierces the tangle of vines and moss. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu, their horses tethered at the edge, venture into this green labyrinth. The obsidian amulets remember those spirit stones from Manza's chest hanging heavy around their necks. The sting of their Kweku fiasco, with its trampled yams and broken kora, clings like dust, but their rivalry, sharper than ever, drives them deeper. Kofi hacks at vines with his spear, Tunde clutches his singed map, and Seifu hums a nervous tune, his charm strained. The oracle's path lies through this forest, but a mystic encounter awaits, one that will challenge their folly with riddles sharper than any griot's song. The air grows thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and wild orchids. The forests hum, alive with unseen eyes, monkeys chattering, snakes slithering, Kofi, leading, boasts. I'll carve a path to the oracle by noon, his bravado, echoing his warthog ride, ignores the forest's menace. Tunde, scanning his map, mutters about a shortcut. His cunning undeterred by the Kweku trader's anger over his pebble trick. Seifu, trailing, picks up a stick to replace his kora, tapping it against trees, his voice soft. "This place feels alive," he says, but his brothers scoff. Their focus on glory, not the forest's whispers. Midday brings them to a clearing, where a massive baobab, its trunk wide as a hut, stands like a sentinel. Beneath it sits an old griot, her hair white as egret feathers, her robe patched with leaves, her eyes, sharp as obsidian, fix on the prince's, and her staff, topped with a carved hornbill, taps the earth. "Welcome, foolish three," she says, her voice a low hum, as if the forest speaks through her. The princes freeze. How does she know their name? Kofi grips his spear. Tunde's hand strays to his amulet, and Seifu's stick falls silent. The griot smiles, her teeth stained with kola nut. "I am Yah, keeper of truths. You seek the oracle, but folly bars your way." Kofi, impatient, steps forward. "We're princes of Zuena," he says, "and no forest stops us." Yah laughs, a sound like wind through reeds. "Princes. Yet you burn villages and break songs," she says, nodding to Seifu's lost kora. "Tunde, sly, tries charm, wise one, guide us, and we'll honor you." Yah's eyes narrow, she sees his pebble-trick heart. Seifu, hesitant, kneels. "What must we do?" he asks, his voice genuine, a flicker of the humility Nia hoped for. Yah nods, pleased, and raises her staff. "Answer my riddles 3, or the forest keeps you." The first riddle comes, her voice weaving it like a spell. "I am taken from a mine and shut in a wooden case, yet I free the mind. What am I? Kofi, brash, shouts. Gold Yah shakes her head. Tunde, smirking, says, a jewel, wrong again. Seifu, thinking of his kora's tales, whispers, charcoal for pencils, for stories. Yah nods, and the forest seems to sigh. The second riddle follows. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?" Kofi guesses a spirit. Tunde, a drum. Both wrong. Seifu, feeling the breeze, says an echo. Yah's smile widens, but her eyes harden for the final test. The third riddle is sharp. "I am present in every victory, but absent in defeat. I am not courage, but I am its root. What am I?" Kofi, frustrated, snaps, strength Tunde, scheming, tries cunning. Both fail. Seifu hesitates, recalling Nia's words about trust, hope. He says softly. Yah claps, the sound echoing, and the forest's hum softens, as if appeased. "Two fools, one spark of wisdom," she says, pointing at Seifu. "Your folly blinds you, but hope may guide you." She tosses a gourd at their feet, its contents glowing faintly. "Drink when you falter," she says, "but only together." Then she vanishes, her robe blending with the leaves, leaving the princes stunned. Kofi kicks the gourd, scoffing. "Riddles won't stop me." Tunde eyes it, wondering if it's a trick, his mind still on shortcuts. Seifu picks it up, its warmth like the amulets, and tucks it into his bag. "She knew us," he says, but his brothers, stung by their failures, push on, their rivalry flaring. The forest thickens, its paths twisting, and the prince's steps grow heavier. The griot's words a weight folly bars their way. Sefu's riddles, answered alone, hint at what Mansa meant unity. Not competition, but Kofi and Tunde, their pride unyielding, march toward the next trial, blind to the lesson Ya carved into their path. As dusk paints the canopy gold, the prince's camp by a fallen log, the gourd untouched. Kofi sharpens his spear, Tunde redraws his map. Sefu hums a riddle's echo. The forest watches, its secrets deeper than Kweku's wrath, and the amulets pulse, as if Ya's truths linger. The oracle's mountain lies far, but the foolish three, one spark wiser, stumble toward a river that will test their reckless hearts, unaware that their next misstep could drown more than their pride. The forest's emerald grip loosens as Kofi, Tunde, and Sefu emerge onto a grassy bank where the river Zaire roars, its waters swollen from recent rains, churning with mud and broken branches. The obsidian amulets, those spirit stones from Mansa's chest, swing against their sweat-soaked tunics, their weight a reminder of the oracle's distant call. The griot Ya's riddles, especially Sefu's spark of wisdom, remember his hope answer, linger like a half-heard song. But the prince's rivalry, stoked by Kofi's bravado and Tunde's schemes, overshadows her warning of unity. Kofi, spear in hand, eyes the river with a grin, eager to lead. Tunde, clutching his redrawn map, calculates risks, while Sefu, gripping Ya's glowing gourd, feels the forest's eyes still watching. The river, a foaming beast, demands a crossing, and Kofi's brash plan is about to plunge them into peril. The Zaire is no gentle stream, its currents twist like pythons, and crocodiles lurk, their eyes glinting above the surface. The prince's horses snort, refusing the bank, and the path to the oracle's mountain lies on the far side, where savanna grasses wave under a hazy sky. Kofi, never one to hesitate, declares, "We'll build a raft and cross by noon." His voice, bold as his warthog ride through Ibadun, ignores the river's growl. Tunde, squinting at his map, suggests a bridge miles upstream, but Kofi scoffs. "Cowards talk. I lead. We cross here." Sefu, his kora gone but Ya's gourd warm in his hands, murmurs, "We should think this through," but his brother's rivalry drowns him out. Kofi hacks at nearby saplings, his spear flashing, and orders Tunde to gather vines. Tunde, grumbling, complies but slips a weak vine into the pile, hoping Kofi's raft fails to prove his bridge idea wiser. Sefu, tasked with binding the logs, hesitates, recalling Ya's words about folly's cost. "We need a stronger plan," he says, but Kofi, sweating, snaps. "Tie faster, or I'll drag you across." The raft takes shape, a rickety platform of logs and vines, barely wide enough for three. The horses, tethered to a tree, whinny as the river's spray wets their flanks, and Sefu's stomach twists. He sees the raft's flaws, but Kofi's glare silences him. They push the raft to the bank, the Zaire's roar deafening. Kofi boards first, spear raised like a king, shouting, "Follow, or stay cowards." Tunde, eyeing the weak vine he planted, smirks but steps on, his map tucked inside his tunic. Sefu, clutching the gourd, boards last, his heart pounding. The raft lurches as they shove off, the current snatching it like a leaf. Kofi pulls with his spear, muscles straining, but the river fights back, spinning them toward a cluster of rocks. Tunde, balancing, shouts directions, his voice sharp with panic, while Sefu grips the logs, whispering, "Hope, hope," as if Ya's riddle could save them. Halfway across, Tunde's weak vine snaps, the raft splintering. Logs scatter, and the princes plunge into the Zare's icy grip. Kofi flails, his spear lost, the current dragging him toward a crocodile's open jaws. Tunde, a strong swimmer, kicks toward a rock. His map sodden, but his cunning alive, he plans to save himself first. Seifu, weaker in the water, clings to a log, the gourd still in his hand, its glow faint but steady. Together, he shouts, echoing Nia's plea, and dives for Kofi, grabbing his arm just as the crocodile lunges. The beast's teeth graze Kofi's leg, drawing blood, but Seifu pulls him to the rock where Tunde waits, his eyes wide, shamed by Seifu's courage. The princes huddle, shivering, as the river rages below. Kofi, panting, clutches his bleeding leg, his bravado cracked. "You saved me," he mutters to Seifu, a rare admission. Tunde, soaked, tosses his ruined map into the water, his schemes humbled. Seifu, the gourd intact, says, "Yah warned us, folly nearly killed us." The amulets, cold against their skin, seem to pulse, as if the ancestors nod at Seifu's spark, but the far bank is still distant, the raft gone, and the crocodiles circle. Kofi, grimacing, suggests swimming, but Tunde, for once cautious, points to a fallen tree upstream, its branches reaching the other side a natural bridge, if they can reach it. They crawl along the bank, Kofi limping, Seifu supporting him, Tunde scouting ahead, their rivalry muted by survival. The tree, gnarled and slippery, spans the Zare, its roots tangled in the mud. Seifu, clutching the gourd, crosses first, his steps careful, proving his hope isn't just words. Tunde follows, his cunning now serving the group, and Kofi, humbled, crosses last, his wound slowing him, but his will unbroken. On the far bank, they collapse, the savannah stretching before them. The oracle's path clearer, but no less daunting. The horses, left behind, are a loss, but Seifu's act has shifted something the foolish three, soaked and scarred, feel a flicker of unity, though their pride still simmers. As night falls, they camp under an acacia, Kofi's wound bound with leaves, Tunde's map replaced by memory, Seifu's gourd glowing faintly. The Zare's roar fades, but its lesson lingers. Kofi's rashness, like his Kweku goat ride, nearly drowned them. The amulets hum, and Seifu wonders if Yah watches, her riddles a guide. The savannah ahead hides new trials, and the princes, one step wiser, brace for a trap that will test their fragile bond, unaware that Tunde's greed is about to lead them into a snare far deadlier than the river's jaws. The savannah stretches wide under a blistering sun, its grasses swaying like a golden sea, dotted with termite mounds and the distant silhouettes of giraffes. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu trudge forward, their tunics torn, the obsidian amulets, those spirit stones from Mansa's chest, warm against their bruised skin. Kofi's leg, grazed by the Zare's crocodile, throbs with each step. His bravado dimmed since Seifu's rescue. Remember that desperate dive Tunde, his map lost to the river, navigates by instinct, his eyes gleaming with a hunger for glory. Seifu, clutching Yah's glowing gourd, hums softly, his hope a fragile thread binding the foolish three. The oracle's mountain lies beyond this plain, but Tunde's greed, sharper than his pebble tricks in Kweku, is about to lead them into a poacher's deadly snare. The savannah hums with life zebras. Grays, vultures circle, and a lion's roar echoes faintly. The princes, horseless since the river, carry little Kofi's remaining spear, Tunde's knife, Seifu's gourd, Kofi, limping, grumbles. We'd be halfway there with horses. Tunde, scanning the horizon, spots a glint among the grasses a pile of ivory tusks, half hidden by a thorn bush. "Look," he cries, his voice sharp with excitement. "That's wealth enough for kings." His mind, ever scheming like his golden spear days, races he could claim the ivory, outshine his brothers, and fund their quest in style. Seifu, wary, grips the gourd. "It's not ours," he says, echoing Ya's warning of folly. But Tunde's grin is unstoppable. Tunde sprints towards the tusks, ignoring Kofi's shout to wait. The pile, stacked like pale logs, gleams with promise, but the grass around it is trampled, the air heavy with the scent of blood. Kofi, catching up, senses danger, his hunter's instincts flaring despite his wound. This is a trap. He growls, spear raised, Seifu, trailing, notices ropes hidden in the dirt, their ends tied to stakes. "Poachers," he whispers, his voice tight. Tunde, too eager, grabs a tusk, and the ground shifts a net, woven from hemp, springs from the earth, ensnaring him in its mesh. He thrashes, his knife useless, as a horn blasts nearby, signaling the trap's masters. Kofi and Seifu dive behind a termite mound as 3 poachers emerge from the grass, their faces scarred, their spears tipped with iron. The leader, a hulking man with a leopard skin belt, laughs, prodding Tunde's net. "A prince in my snare," he sneers, recognizing Tunde's amulet. "Your brothers will fetch a ransom." Kofi, his temper flaring like his Kweku goat ride, grips his spear, ready to charge, but Seifu grabs his arm. "We need a plan," he hisses, his hope from Ya's riddle sparking. The poachers, unaware of the others, drag Tunde toward a camp hidden by acacias, its fire smoking with roasted meat. Tunde, trapped, shouts curses, his greed now a noose. Seifu, crouching, whispers a plan, his voice steady despite the odds. "We free Tunde at night, when they sleep." Kofi, reluctant, nods, his pride stung by Seifu's lead. They creep closer, using the savannah's cover, the sun sinking into a crimson haze. The poachers' camp is crude tents of hide, piles of tusks, a caged cheetah snarling. Tunde, tied to a stake, glares at his captors, his cunning plotting escape but his ropes tight. Kofi, watching, mutters, "He deserves this," but Seifu shakes his head. "He's our brother," he says, echoing Nia's call for unity, the gourd's glow warm in his hand. Night falls, stars blazing above the savannah. The poachers, drunk on palm wine, slump by their fire, their snores loud as hyenas. Kofi and Seifu creep into the camp, Kofi's spear ready, Seifu's knife borrowed from Tunde's pack cutting Tunde's ropes. Tunde, freed, grabs a tusk, his greed flaring even now, but Kofi slaps it from his hand. No more folly. He growls, his voice low. The cheetah, sensing freedom, roars, waking the poachers. The leader lunges, his spear grazing Seifu's arm, but Kofi tackles him, his wound forgotten in the fight. Tunde, for once selfless, grabs a burning branch, scattering the others with fire. The princes flee, the poachers' curses fading as the savannah swallows them. They collapse by a kopje, a rocky outcrop, panting. Seifu's arm bleeding, Tunde's pride bruised. "I was wrong." Tunde mutters, a rare admission. His eyes on the gourd Seifu still holds. Kofi, binding Seifu's wound, nods. "We're stronger together," he says, echoing Seifu's river cry. The amulets pulse, as if Ya's riddles approve, but the savannah's lesson stings Tunde's greed, like his Kweku pebbles, nearly cost their lives. Seifu, wincing, offers the gourd. "Drink," he says, recalling Ya's words. But Kofi hesitates. Tunde smirks. Their unity fragile. Dawn breaks. The savannah golden again. The oracle's mountain a faint shadow ahead. The princes, scarred but alive, press on. Kofi's limp easing. Tunde's schemes tempered. Seifu's hope a quiet strength. The gourd's glow, untouched, hums like the amulets, a reminder of Ya's warning. The next village, rumored to hold wisdom, awaits. But Seifu's charm, once a jest, is about to offend an elder, testing their newfound bond against the weight of their foolish past. The savannah fades into rolling hills as Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu approach the village of Amana, its mud-brick homes nestled beside a grove of shade trees, their leaves shimmering in the late afternoon sun. The obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, hang heavy, their faint pulse a reminder of the oracle's distant call. Kofi's leg, scarred from the Zare's crocodile, moves easier now, his bravado tempered by Seifu's river rescue. Tunde, humbled by the poacher's snare, remember his greed for those tusks keeps his schemes in check, his eyes wary. Seifu, arm bandaged from the poacher's spear, clutches Ya's glowing gourd, its warmth a beacon of hope from her riddles. Amana, known for its wise elders, offers respite, but Seifu's charm, once a jest like his crocodile boast, is about to offend a teacher who will humble the foolish three. Amana buzzes with quiet industry. Women grind millet. Men carve masks. Children weave baskets under the shade trees. The princes, dusty and worn, draw stares as they enter, their amulets glinting. Kofi, leading, keeps his spear low, wary of repeating Kweku's chaos. Tunde, scanning for advantage, notes the village's wealth granaries full, cloth dyed vibrant indigo. Seifu, humming softly, hopes his stories can win favor, but his confidence, unshaken by the savannah's lesson, borders on arrogance. The villagers, sensing royalty, lead them to the central square, where Elder Kwame, a stooped man with eyes like polished ebony, sits beneath a baobab, his staff topped with a carved owl. Kwam greets them, his voice deep as a drum. "Princes of Zuwena, why do you wander our hills?" Kofi, cautious, speaks of their quest for the oracle, his tone humbler than his Kweku boasts. Tunde, offering a nod, asks for supplies, his cunning masked by respect. Seifu, eager to shine, steps forward, his smile wide. "We're heroes in the making," he says, launching into a tale of their journey the Zare's crocodiles, the poacher's net embellishing wildly. He claims he charmed the river to spare them, outwitted the poachers single-handedly, and calls Ya's riddles child's play. The villagers laugh, but Kwame's eyes narrow, his staff tapping the earth like a warning. "Smooth words hide shallow hearts," Kwame says, his voice cutting Seifu's tale short. "You mock wisdom with jests." Seifu, stung, laughs it off, saying, "Stories lighten the road. Elder, I could charm your owl to sing." The crowd gasps. Kwame's staff, a symbol of Amana's ancestors, is sacred. Kofi winces, recalling Seifu's blindfolded race. Tunde shifts. Sensing trouble, Kwame rises, his presence towering despite his age. "You seek the oracle, yet scorn the lessons before you," he says. "Prove your worth, or leave empty-handed." He gestures to a stone circle, where Amana tests travelers with a task of wisdom, not strength. The task is simple but profound. Arrange 3 stones black, white, and gray, in a pattern that tells a story of balance. Kwame explains. Each stone is a choice, a life, a truth, place them wrongly, and you carry no blessing from Amana. Kofi, impatient, grabs the stones, stacking them haphazardly, thinking strength is enough. The villagers shake their heads. The pattern means nothing. Tunde, cunning, arranges them in a triangle, black at the top, but his focus on dominance unbalances the tail. Seifu, chastened, steps forward, his charm fading. He recalls Ya's riddles, Nia's plea for unity, and places the stones in a circle, each touching, gray at the center. Balance is shared strength, he says softly. Kwama nods, the owl's carved eyes seeming to gleam. One sees, he says, looking at Seifu. The others stumble. He hands Seifu a woven basket of millet, water skins, and a small clay owl, saying, "Carry this and learn," to Kofi and Tunde. He offers only a warning wisdom, not pride, opens the oracle's path. The villagers, moved, share bread and shea butter, their suspicion easing. Seifu, humbled, tucks the owl with Ya's gourd, its weight a reminder of his folly. Kofi, silent, shoulders the supplies, his bravado checked. Tunde, eyeing the owl, vows to prove himself next, his greed tempered but not gone. As dusk settles, the princes camp outside Amana, the shea grove's scent soothing their wounds. Kofi sharpens a new spear, his thoughts on Kwame's rebuke, not his warthog days. Tunde sketches the stone circle on a scrap, puzzling over balance. His pebble tricks a distant shame. Seifu, stroking the clay owl, hums a quieter tune. His charm now a tool, not a crutch. The amulets pulse, as if Kwame's wisdom echoes Ya's, and the mountain looms closer, its peaks veiled in mist. Amana's lesson stings Seifu's jest, like his Kweku song. Nearly costs their welcome, but a spark of unity glows, fragile as the gourd's light. The next trial, a perilous climb, will test their flaws as under winds that howl truths no prince can ignore. The hills of Amana give way to the jagged slopes of the Windcarver Mountains, their peaks clawing at a sky bruised with gathering clouds. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu climb a narrow trail, their breath sharp in the thinning air, the obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, swaying with each step. Kofi's leg, scarred from the Zaire, aches but holds, his pride stung by Amana's stone task. Tunde, clutching the clay owl from Elder Kwame, eyes the path for shortcuts. His cunning sharpened since the poacher's snare. Seifu, Ya's gourd and the owl tucked in his bag, walks steadier. His humility from Amana remember his balanced stones a quiet strength. The oracle's realm lies atop these peaks, but the mountain's trials, whipped by howling winds, will expose the foolish three's flaws in ways their warthog rides and pebble tricks never could. The trail twists through scree and stunted pines, the wind a relentless voice singing of failure. Kofi leads, his spear tapping rocks, his voice gruff. "We'll conquer this by dusk," he says. But the memory of his failed stones tempers his boast. Tunde, scanning for easier routes, mutters about the owl's weight, his greed flickering despite Kwame's warning. Seifu, trailing, feels the gourd's warmth, its glow a reminder of Ya's riddles and Amana's balance. The amulets hum, as if the ancestors sense the mountains test 3 stone arches, carved with ancient runes, block the path, each demanding a sacrifice of self to pass. The first arch, its runes glowing faintly, looms over a chasm, a rope bridge swaying in the wind. A voice, carried by the gusts, demands, "Give up your strength or fall." Kofi, his muscles honed by wrestling guards, laughs. "I'm strength itself," he says, stepping onto the bridge. The ropes snap, and he leaps back, barely avoiding the drop. His spear, flung in panic, clatters into the void. Furious, he tries again, but Seifu grabs him. "It's not physical," Seifu says, recalling Kwame's balance. Kofi, grudgingly, kneels, admitting, "I rely on force too much." The wind softens, the bridge steadies, and they cross. Kofi's bravado cracked like his Kweku goat ride. The second arch, higher up, glitters with mica, its runes sharp. The wind howls, "Shed your cunning, or be lost." Tunde, his mind quick as his pebble tricks, smirks. "I'll outwit this," he says, searching for a hidden path. He climbs a ledge, but rocks crumble, trapping his foot. Tunde curses, his schemes failing as they did in the poacher's net. Kofi pulls him free, but Seifu speaks, holding the owl. "Admit you manipulate," he says. Tunde, wincing, mutters, "I twist truth for gain." The wind quiets, the runes dim, and the arch opens. Tunde's pride bruised but lighter, his golden spear days a fading echo. The third arch, at a windswept summit, is smooth as bone, its runes pulsing. The wind screams, "Release your charm, or be broken." Seifu, his stories once bold as his crocodile boast, hesitates, the gourd warm in his hands. "I can talk my way through," he says, weaving a tale of their journey to appease the wind. The gusts intensify, flinging him against the arch, his shoulder bruised. Kofi and Tunde steady him, and Kofi, learning, says, "Drop the act." Seifu, recalling Amana's rebuke, whispers, "I hide fear with words." The wind stills, the arch parts, and Seifu steps through, his charm humbled, his Kweku song a lesson learned. Beyond the arches, a plateau opens, the oracle's cave a dark gash in the rock, veiled by mist. The princes, battered, stand closer, their flaws laid bare. Kofi's force, Tunde's schemes, Seifu's mask, the wind, now a whisper, carries their names, and the amulets glow, as if Kwame's owl and Ya's gourd nod approval. Kofi, spearless, feels lighter without his brute pride. Tunde, footsore, vows to think beyond himself. Seifu, shoulder aching, sees his brothers clearer, their unity fragile but growing. The gourd's glow brightens, untouched since Ya's gift, its purpose still a mystery. Night falls, stars piercing the mountain's haze. The princes camp by the cave's mouth, too weary to enter. Kofi binds his leg. Tunde sketches the arches. Seifu hums a true tale. Not a boast, the amulets pulse, the wind sings softly, and the oracle waits. Her vision, the next trial. The mountain has stripped their surface. Kofi's warthog daring, Tunde's pebble cunning, Seifu's blindfolded charm, but deeper flaws remain. And the cave's truth will test their hearts, demanding they choose unity or pride as Zuwena's heirs. The wind-carver mountains loom under a sky heavy with mist. The oracle's cave a shadowed maw in the plateau's heart, its entrance framed by rocks etched with spiraling runes. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu huddle at its threshold, their tunics frayed, the obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, glowing faintly against their chests. Kofi, spearless since the mountain's first arch, stands taller, his brute pride softened. Tunde, foot bruised from his cunning's fall, grips the clay owl from Amana, his schemes tempered. Seifu, shoulders sore from the wind's rebuke, clutches Yah's glowing gourd. His humility sparked by Amana's stones and the mountain's trials binding the foolish three. The oracle awaits within, her cryptic vision ready to reveal their fates, tied to unity or the selfish pride that fueled their Kweku chaos and poacher's snare. The cave's air is cool, heavy with the scent of damp stone and burnt herbs, its walls flickering with torchlight that dances like spirits. The princes step inside, their footsteps echoing, the amulets pulsing as if the ancestors stir. Kofi, wary but bold, leads, his voice low. We've faced rivers and traps, he says. This is just a woman. Tunde, scanning the shadows, mutters, or a spirit, his mind racing despite Amana's lesson. Seifu, gourd warm in his hands, feels the cave's weight, recalling Yah's riddles and the wind's demands. The oracle's presence, unseen but palpable, presses like a storm about to break. Deeper in, a chamber opens, its floor inlaid with a mosaic of stars, its ceiling lost in darkness. The oracle sits on a stone throne, her form shrouded in a cloak of woven reeds, her eyes hidden behind a veil of cowrie shells. Her voice, a rasp like wind over sand, fills the space. Foolish 3. You seek my blessing, she says, but your hearts are split. Kofi stiffens, Tunde's grip tightens on the owl, and Seifu lowers his gaze. The gourds glow steady. She raises a hand, revealing a pool at her feet, its surface rippling with visions. Look, she commands, and see your paths. Kofi steps forward, peering into the pool. It shows him as king, crowned in gold, but alone, his brothers banished. Zuwena, crumbling under his iron rule. Strength without heart breeds ruin. The oracle says, Kofi, remembering the river's crocodile and the mountain's arch, clenches his fists, his warthog bravado a distant shame. Tunde. Next, sees himself rich, his cunning hoarding wealth, but his brothers dead, Ibadan's markets empty. Greed devours all. The oracle warns, and Tund, stung by the poacher's net, looks away. His pebble tricks a bitter memory. Seifu, last, sees himself beloved, his charm uniting tribes, but his brothers estranged, Zuwena fractured. Words without truth divide, she says, and Seifu, humbled by Amana's rebuke, nods, his crocodile boast silenced. The oracle leans forward, her veil clinking. Your amulets hold Zuwena's spirit, she says, but only unity awakens them. She gestures to the pool, now showing the princes together, their hands joined, Ibadun thriving, the savannah green. Choose, she says, self or kin. Kofi. His pride cracked, glances at Seifu, recalling his river rescue, Tunde. Greed checked, meets Kofi's eyes. The poacher's fire a lesson. Seifu, hope alive, holds the gourd, its glow brighter. Yah's riddles echoing Nia's plea. The oracle tosses a reed into the pool, its ripples blurring the vision. One choice remains, she says, and the desert will test it. The princes, silent, feel the cave's weight lift, the amulets warm. Kofi speaks first, his voice rough. We'll choose together. Tunde nods, his cunning shifting to strategy for all. Seifu, smiling faintly, says, Hope binds us, his charm now true. The oracle hums, her veil still, and points to the cave's exit. Go, she says, but carry my vision or fall. They leave, the pool's images burned into their minds glory alone, or unity's strength. The gourd pulses, untouched, its role unclear, but Seifu senses Ya's hand in it, her riddles a guide through the oracle's truth. Outside, dawn breaks, the mist clearing to reveal the savannah below, the desert beyond a golden haze. The princes camp by the cave, their wounds aching but their hearts stirred. Kofi, spearless, carves a staff, his strength now for his brothers. Tunde, sketching the pool's visions, plans for Zuena, not himself. Seifu, stroking the owl, hums a song of unity, not jest. The amulets glow, the wind whispers approval, and the desert looms. It storms, ready to test Kofi's impatience, a flaw that could strand them as surely as the Zair's currents or Amana's stones. The desert beyond the Windcarver Mountains shimmers under a merciless sun, its dunes rolling like waves of gold, the air thick with heat and the scent of baked earth. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu trudge through the sand, their tunics caked with dust, the obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, hot against their skin. Kofi, staff in hand since losing his spear, fights the urge to charge ahead, his pride softened by the oracle's vision of a lonely crown. Tunde, the clay owl tucked in his bag, keeps his cunning sharp but selfless, the poacher's net a humbling memory. Seifu, clutching Ya's glowing gourd, walks with purpose, his hope sparked by Amana's stones and the oracle's pool binding the foolish three. The desert, vast and unforgiving, tests their resolve, and Kofi's impatience, a spark from his warthog days, is about to strand them in a storm that could bury their quest for the oracle's blessing. The sand burns their feet, the horizon a wavering mirage of distant hills where the oracle's final test awaits. Kofi, leading, squints against the glare, his voice tight. "We're moving too slow," he growls. Ignoring the oracle's call for unity, Tunde, scanning for shade, suggests rationing their water, his strategy shaped by Amana's balance. Seifu, feeling the gourd's warmth, points to a cluster of rocks, proposing rest. "The desert doesn't care for haste," he says, echoing Ya's riddles. But Kofi, restless, pushes on, his staff kicking up sand. Rest is for cowards, he snaps, his old bravado flaring, a shadow of his Kweku goat ride. By midday, the sky darkens, a sandstorm brewing, its howl like the mountain's winds. Tunde, checking the owl, urges shelter, recalling the poacher's fire. Seifu, gourd glowing, agrees, spotting a shallow cave in the rocks. Kofi, defiant, insists on outrunning the storm. "I've faced worse," he says, thinking of the Zair's crocodiles, but his brothers hesitate. Together. Seifu pleads, Nia's words in his voice, but Kofi charges forward, sand stinging his face. Reluctantly, Tunde and Seifu follow, their unity fraying, the amulets pulsing as if the ancestors frown. The storm hits, a roaring wall of sand that blinds them, the desert swallowing their path. Kofi, leading, stumbles into a dune, his staff buried, his shouts lost in the wind. Tunde, shielding his face, tries to navigate, but the sand erases his bearings, his cunning useless. Seifu, clutching the gourd, falls, its glow dimming as sand piles around him. The storm's fury mirrors their flaws, Kofi's haste, Tunde's overthinking, Seifu's hesitation. Hours pass, the wind relentless, until Kofi, exhausted, collapses beside a buried acacia. His impatience a trap as deadly as Tunde's poacher's net. Tunde, finding him, digs frantically, his hands raw. Seifu, crawling, joins them, the gourd's light a faint star in the chaos. Huddled together, the princes face their error. Kofi, coughing sand, admits, "I led us wrong." His voice raw, a far cry from his rooftop race. Tunde, shivering, says, "I should have fought harder for the cave, his greed for glory gone." Seifu, gourd in hand, whispers, "We forgot the oracle's vision together, not alone." The amulets glow, warm now, and Seifu, remembering Ya's words, lifts the gourd. "Drink," he says, uncorking it. A sweet, cool liquid spills, enough for 3 sips. Kofi drinks first, his strength returning. Tunde, next, his mind clearing. Seifu, last, his hope blazing. The storm weakens, as if Ya's gift commands the desert itself. Dawn breaks, the dunes still, the air clear, the princes, revived, dig out their gear. Kofi's staff recovered, Tunde's owl intact. The gourd, empty now, lies light in Seifu's bag, its purpose fulfilled. They spot the rocks Seifu saw, a cave offering shade, and laugh, their bond tighter, the oracle's unity closer. Kofi, humbled, lets Tunde lead. His impatience checked. Tunde, plotting a safer path, values Seifu's caution. His pebble trick's a lesson. Seifu, smiling, feels the amulet's pulse. Ya's hope and Kwame's balance alive in him. The desert, though harsh, has forged them, its storm a mirror of their reckless past. Ahead, an oasis glimmers, its palms promising water, the next step to the oracle's test. The princes, scarred but wiser, walk together, their steps synced. The savannah's trials river, snare, stones, winds, sand building a strength no warthog ride could. But Tunde's sacrifice, a choice to give rather than take, looms at the oasis. A test that will mend or break their fragile unity under Zuwena's watching stars. The oasis of Ngolo shimmers in the desert's heart, its palm-fringed pool reflecting a sky ablaze with twilight. The air sweet with dates and cool water. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu approach, their bodies aching from the sandstorm's wrath. The obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, glinting faintly, their glow steadier since Ya's gourd saved them. Kofi, his impatience curbed by the desert's lesson, leans on his staff, grateful for Tunde's lead. Tunde, the clay owl from Amana tucked in his bag, feels the weight of his past greed remember the poacher's tusks, but his cunning now serves the group. Seifu, carrying the empty gourd and Kwame's owl, hums softly. His hope, a quiet fire, forged by Amana's stones and the oracle's vision. The oasis offers rest, but Tunde's sacrifice, a selfless act unlike his Kweku pebble tricks, is about to mend the foolish three's fractured bond. The oasis teems with life. Ibis wade in the pool, nomads trade beneath palms, and a caravan's camels kneel, laden with salt and cloth. The princes, their waterskins dry, are welcomed by a nomad leader, Aisha, her robes dyed indigo, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. Zuwena's sons, she says, noting their amulets. What brings you to Ngolo? Kofi, humbler now, speaks of the oracle, his voice steady, not boastful like his warthog ride. Seifu, offering a smile, shares their journey's trials, his charm true, not a Kweku jest. Tunde, eyeing the caravan's wealth, feels a flicker of his old greed but stays silent. Kwame's balance in his mind. Aisha offers water and dates, but her gaze lingers on a sick child, her son, lying in a tent, his breath shallow, skin fever hot. "Our healer is days away," she says, her voice breaking. Seifu kneels by the boy, his hope stirring, and offers the clay owl, thinking its Amana blessing might help. Aisha shakes her head only a rare herb. Safara root, grown in a distant gorge, can cure him, but the path is treacherous, and her men are too few. Kofi, his strength itching. Volunteers, but Tunde, unexpectedly, steps forward. "I'll go," he says, his voice firm, the oracle's vision of greed's ruin vivid in his mind. Kofi and Seifu stare, stunned Tunde. The schemer, risking himself clutching the owl, explains, "I've taken too much tusks. Shortcuts. This is mine to give." His words, raw, echo Nia's plea for unity, and the amulet's pulse, as if Yah's riddles approve. Aisha, moved, gives him a guide, a wiry nomad named Juma, and a camel. Kofi, gripping his staff, offers to join, but Tunde shakes his head. "Stay. Protect Seifu," he says, a leader's command, not a trickster's ploy. Seifu, handing him the empty gourd, says, "For luck, its glow gone, but its hope alive." Tunde rides off, Juma leading, the gorge's shadow swallowing them. Night falls, the oasis glowing with campfires, nomads singing of desert stars. Kofi and Seifu wait, Kofi carving a stick, his thoughts on Tunde's courage, not his own zare haste. Seifu, stroking the owl, tells Aisha of Amana's stones, his humility a gift. The boy's fever worsens, and Aisha prays, her beads clicking, while the princes feel Tunde's absence, their bond tightening. At dawn, a cry rises. Tunde returns, bloodied, his tunic torn, but holding a clutch of safara root. Juma, limping, recounts the gorge's perils, rock slides, hyenas, a fall that nearly killed Tunde. He wouldn't stop, Juma says, awed. Tunde, swaying, hands the root to Aisha, collapsing as she rushes to brew it. The boy drinks, his fever breaking by noon, his eyes brightening. Aisha, tears falling, embraces Tunde, now awake, and gifts the princes water, food, and a camel for their journey. "You've blessed Ngolo," she says, her voice warm. Tunde, bruised but proud, meets his brother's eyes, their respect new, their unity stronger. Kofi, clapping his shoulder, says, "You're no trickster now," his warthog pride gone. Seifu, smiling, tucks the owl away. Its lesson clear balance is sacrifice. The amulets glow, the empty gourd a silent witness, as if Yah and Kwame nod from afar. The princes leave Ngolo, their camel laden, the hills ahead leading to a city of truth. Tunde's sacrifice, a far cry from his poacher's greed, has woven their hearts closer, but Seifu's vanity, a spark from his crocodile boasts, awaits in a city where mirrors reflect flaws, testing their bond under Zuwena's patient stars. The hills beyond Ngolo flatten into a dusty plain, where the city of mirrors, Salama, rises like a mirage, its glass-domed roofs catching the midday sun in a dazzling blaze. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu ride their camel, gifted by Aisha. The obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, warm with a steady pulse. Their glow brighter since Tunde's sacrifice at the oasis. Kofi, his staff steady, carries a new respect for Tunde, his warthog bravado a distant echo. Tunde, the clay owl, safe, feels the weight of his Ngolo heroism, his pebble-trick days humbled. Seifu, clutching the empty gourd, hums a quiet tune, his hope forged by Amana's stones and the oracle's vision binding the foolish three. Salama, a city where every surface reflects truth, awaits, and Seifu's vanity, a spark from his crocodile boasts, is about to shatter under mirrors that reveal the heart's flaws. Salama's streets gleam, paved with polished stone, its buildings lined with mirrors that catch every glance, every flaw. Traders hawk glass beads, musicians play flutes, and children dance, their reflections flawless in the city's sheen. The princes dismount, drawing stares their dusty tunics and scarred skin contrast with Salama's polish. Kofi, wary, keeps his staff low, mindful of Kweku's chaos. Tunde, scanning the mirrors, feels exposed, his cunning no shield here. Seifu, smiling, adjusts his tunic, his charm flaring as women admire his querulous grace. "This city loves me," he boasts, his voice light, but the mirrors, glinting, seem to watch, ready to judge. The city's leader, a woman named Zainab, greets them, her robes shimmering like liquid silver, her eyes sharp as the oracles. "Zuwena's princes," she says, noting their amulets. "Salama welcomes you." But truth rules here. Kofi, honest, speaks of their quest, his voice steady, not brash. Tunde, offering the owl, asks for passage. His sacrifice a new strength. Seifu, eager to shine, spins a tale of their journey, embellishing his role claiming he led at Ngolo, tamed the Zare's crocodiles, solved Ya's riddles alone. The crowd claps, but Zainab's smile fades, the mirrors around them clouding, their surfaces rippling with shadows. "Words twist truth," Zainab says, pointing to a mirrored plaza. "Face the circle of reflections, or leave unmarked." The plaza, ringed by towering mirrors, hums with energy, its center a glass pool. "It shows your heart," Zainab warns, and vanity blinds. Seifu, confident, strides forward, his charm a shield, but Kofi and Tunde hesitate, recalling the mountain's arches. "Be true," Tunde says, his Ngolo courage stirring. Seifu laughs. "I've nothing to hide," his voice echoing his Kweku song. But the mirrors darken, their reflections shifting. Seifu gazes into the pool, expecting his handsome face, but sees a boy, boastful and fearful, his stories hiding weakness. The mirrors show him at Amana, mocking Kwame's owl, at Kweku, singing over chaos, at the Zare, hesitating as Kofi sank. "Liar," the mirrors whisper, and Seifu stumbles, his charm cracking. Kofi, stepping forward, sees his own reflection brash, charging into danger, stranding them in the desert storm. Tunde, next, faces his greed, the poacher's tusks gleaming, his pebble tricks a chain. The plaza hums, the amulets pulse, and Seifu, tears falling, whispers, "I boast to be seen." The mirrors clear, the pool stills, and Zainab nods. "Truth frees," she says, handing Seifu a glass bead, its core clear. Kofi and Tunde, their flaws bared, receive beads too, their reflections honest Kofi's strength, Tunde's cunning. Now for Zuwena. The crowd, moved, offers food and water, Salama's mirrors gleaming anew. Seifu, humbled, tucks the bead with the gourd, his vanity shattered like his blindfolded race. Kofi, gripping his staff, feels their bond tighten, his Zare haste a lesson. Tunde, stroking the owl, vows to guard Seifu, his Nogolo sacrifice a guide. The amulets glow, as if Yah's hope and the oracle's vision merge, and Salama's truth, sharp as Amana's stones, carves their hearts for the final test. As night falls, the princes camp outside Salama, its domes glowing under stars. Kofi sharpens his staff. Tunde maps their path. Seifu hums a true song, not a boast. The beads wait, like the gourds. Anchors Seifu, his crocodile charm gone. The final trial, a beast guarding the oracle's blessing, looms in the hills, where their unity forged by river, snare, stones, winds, sand, and mirrors will face its ultimate test, under Zuwena's watchful ancestors. The hills beyond Salama rise into rugged cliffs, their crags dappled with dusk's purple shadows, where the air hums with the scent of wild thyme and unseen danger. Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu climb a rocky path, their camel tethered below, the obsidian amulets, those ancestral stones from Mansa's chest, glowing steadily, their light a testament to the trials survived. Kofi, his staff firm, carries Salama's truth, his warthog bravado humbled by the mirror's judgment. Tunde, the clay owl and glass bead in his bag, walks with purpose, his Ngolo sacrifice a shield against greed. Seifu, the empty gourd and bead at his side, moves quietly. His vanity once bold as his crocodile boast shattered in Salama's plaza. The oracle's final test, a beast guarding her blessing, awaits in a gorge ahead, where the foolish three's unity, forged through Zair's currents, poachers' snares, and mirrored truths, will face the shadow of their past follies. The path narrows, the cliffs looming, their edges sharp as the oracle's warnings. Kofi, leading, grips his staff, his voice steady. "This beast won't stop us," he says, his Zair courage tempered by Amana's balance. Tunde, scanning the gorge, plans their approach, his cunning now for his brothers, not glory. Seifu, feeling the amulet's pulse, recalls the oracle's vision unity or ruin, and says, together, "We're enough." The gorge opens, a sandy arena ringed by boulders, where a massive hyena, its fur matted with scars, paces, its eyes red as embers. Its growl shakes the air. A beast of legend said to guard the oracle's blessing, feeding on pride and discord. Kofi raises his staff, instincts flaring, but he pauses, remembering the desert storm's haste. "We planned first," he says, glancing at Tunde. Tunde, nodding, suggests luring the hyena to a narrow pass, his poacher's fire strategy reborn. Seifu, clutching the gourd, proposes distracting it with sound, his Kweku song now a tool, not a jest. They agree, their voices low, their bond tight. Kofi's strength, Tunde's cunning, Seifu's hope woven like Amana's stones. The hyena charges, its jaws snapping, and the princes scatter, their plan unfolding under the gorge's watchful cliffs. Tunde, quick, climbs a boulder, tossing rocks to draw the beast toward the pass, his Ngolo bravery alive. Seifu, at the pass's mouth, bangs the gourd against stone, its hollow thump echoing, his Salama humility guiding his rhythm. Kofi, staff ready, waits in the shadows, his Zar rescue fueling his focus. The hyena, enraged, lunges at Seifu, but Tunde's rocks divert it, its claws raking the sand. Seifu dodges, his bead glinting, and leads it into the pass, where Kofi leaps, striking its flank with his staff. The beast roars, turning, but the narrow walls trap it, its bulk a disadvantage. The princes, moving as one, corner it, their shouts a chorus of defiance. The hyena, cornered, pauses, its eyes locking with theirs, as if testing their hearts. Kofi, staff raised, recalls the oracle's pool strength alone, fails, Tunde, ready to strike, sees his greed's ruin, his pebble tricks useless, Seifu, gourd in hand, feels Ya's hope, whispering, "We don't need to kill." He steps forward, voice soft, singing a lullaby from Ibadun, its notes pure, not boastful. The hyena's growl softens, its eyes dimming, and it slinks back, vanishing into a cave. The gorge stills, the amulets blaze, and a light flares from the cave's depths, the oracle's blessing. A crystal vial glowing like starlight, resting on a stone. Kofi retrieves it, his hands steady, the vial warm as the amulets. Tunde, smiling, claps Seifu's shoulder, his cunning proud of their plan. Seifu, bead and gourd light, feels the ancestors' nod, Ya's, riddles, and Kwama's owl fulfilled. The vial, said to awaken the amulet's power, hums, its light merging with their stones, sealing their unity. The princes, scarred but whole, laugh, their voices echoing. The hyenas test, a mirror of their journey, Kofi's haste, Tunde's greed, Seifu's vanity, all burned away by trust. The cliffs, silent, seem to bow, and Zuena's stars shine brighter, guiding them home. They camp in the gorge, the vial safe, their camel laden for the return. Kofi carves a mark on his staff. Tunde sketches the hyena. Seifu sings of their bond, not glory. The amulets, now radiant, pulse with Zuena's spirit, the oracle's vision true. The path back to Ibadun, through savannah and forest, awaits, where the foolish three, no longer fools, will reshape their kingdom with humility and strength. Their follies warthog rides, pebble tricks, crocodile boasts a tale for griots to sing under a new dawn. The savannah stretches golden under a dawn sky, its grasses whispering as Kofi, Tunde, and Seifu ride their camel toward Ibadun, the heart of Zuena. The oracle's crystal vial, its starlight glow, now fused with their obsidian amulets tucked safely in Seifu's bag alongside the empty gourd and Amana's clay owl. Kofi, his staff carved with the hyena's mark, rides with a quiet strength, his warthog bravado replaced by the unity forged in the gorge. Tunde, the glass bead from Salama glinting, guides the camel, his cunning now a gift for his brothers, his pebble trick days a lesson learned. Seifu, humming a true song, feels the amulet's radiant pulse, his hope sparked by Ya's riddles, Amana's stones, and the oracle's vision binding the foolish three as they return, no longer fools, to reshape their kingdom with humility and strength. Ibadan's mud-brick palaces come into view, their cowrie shells sparkling, the city's hum of markets and drums welcoming the prince's home. The journey zares crocodiles, poachers' snares, desert storms, mirrored truths, and the hyena's roar has scarred their bodies but honed their hearts. Kofi, once brash, now values Seifu's caution. Tunde, once greedy, honors Kofi's courage. Seifu, once vain, trusts their shared strength. The amulets, blazing with Zuena's spirit, mark their transformation, their unity, the oracle's true blessing. As they near the gates, children run alongside, shouting their names, griots already weaving their tale, the foolish three now a song of triumph. King Mansa and Queen Nia wait in the palace courtyard, the kente canopy vibrant, the court gathered nobles, elders, traders, their eyes wide with hope and doubt. Mansa, his silver beard catching the sun, stands tall, his ultimatum a fading echo. Nia, bangles chiming, searches her son's faces, her prayers answered in their steady gazes. Kofi dismounts, his limp gone, and kneels, presenting the vial, its light dazzling. We faced the oracle, he says, voice clear, and learned to be one. Tunde, beside him, offers the owl, its clay warm. We sacrificed for others, he adds, his Ngolo deed alive. Sefu, last, holds the bead, his song soft. We saw our flaws and chose Zuwena. He says, his Salama truth a vow. Mansa takes the vial, its glow merging with the amulets, and the court gasps as a breeze, warm and sweet, sweeps through, as if the ancestors sing, "You've returned princes." Mansa says, his voice thick, worthy of Zuwena. Nia embraces them, tears falling, her love the root of their hope, from Kweku's chaos to the hyena's gorge. The griots strike their balafons, their song no longer mocking but exalting the three who learned Kofi's strength. Tunde's cunning, Sefu's heart, woven like Amana's stones. The court cheers, cowries tossed in joy, the market buzzing with tales of their quest. The princes, humbled, address the crowd. Kofi vows to rebuild Kweku's huts, his staff a tool, not a weapon. Tunde pledges to share Salama's glassmaking, his wealth for all, not himself. Sefu promises stories of truth, his kora restrung, his crocodile boasts forgotten. The elders nod, their beads clicking, and traders, once scornful of Tunde's golden spear, offer goods for the prince's plans. Ibadun feels lighter, its future bright. The amulets glow a beacon of unity. Mansa, raising the vial, declares a feast, drums thundering, the savannah alive with Zuwena's pulse. As night falls, the princes stand in the palace garden, date palms swaying, the vial's light fading into their amulets. Its work done. Kofi carves their names on his staff. Tunde sketches Ibadan's future. Sefu sings of Nia's love. The stars, bright as Salama's mirrors, watch, and the griot's song carries across Zuwena, a tale of folly turned to wisdom, of three who faced rivers, snares, storms, and beasts to become kings in heart before crown. The tale slows now, dear listener, its fire easing into embers as Zuwena sleeps under a velvet sky. Picture Ibadun at dusk, its lanterns soft, markets quiet, children dreaming of the three who learned. Kofi, Tunde, and Sefu, once foolish, now walk the savannah, their laughter true, their amulets warm with ancestral pride. The baobabs stand sentinel, the Niger flows gentle, and griots sing of unity, their notes a lullaby for a kingdom reborn. You've followed their trials through Zare's jaws, Salama's truths, the hyena's roar, and seen their hearts grow. Let their story settle, a warm whisper in your soul, like a breeze over dunes. Close your eyes, feel Zuwena's pulse, and know that folly, when faced, becomes strength. Sleep well, under stars that saw them rise.